Hey everybody, so I decided it's about time. I'm going to finally rebrand this channel to Kibbles Gaming. Now, if you've been around since New World, you might be familiar with my previous rebranding because this whole YouTube is a whole ordeal. It used to be Video Game Databank and all this crazy stuff. Well, I'm finally going to do it. We're going to change it to Kibbles Gaming. Now, if any of you keep up with me at all, you might have noticed I haven't posted a video in like 25 days, and I'm going to talk more about that also. So, why I'm rebranding. So, originally it was a website named videogamedatabank.com. The YouTube was supporting that. The YouTube blew up, so I abandoned the website, and then everyone kept calling me Video Game Databank and database and all these things. So I just went with my like online alias, and I was gonna phase out eventually. I left it as that so people would recognize me at first, and it's finally time. I don't think anyone even cares anymore. I'm just gonna drop it, and we're gonna change to Kibbles Gaming. Now, there's another reason why I'm doing that, which is because I am actually working on making a video game, and also I'm going to be taking this channel not really in a different direction, still gaming, but just, I don't know, it's a little different. So the next big thing I want to talk about is what I just said, which is I've been working on making a video game. Now, it's not going to be something totally groundbreaking, not like some massive MMO like Ashes of Creation or something. I don't have a budget for something like that. But it's going to be a simulator game. It's going to be just something fun to play for, you know, however long, a few days to a week or two, depending on how much you like the game. And I'm hoping to release that in March or April. But if you're wondering why I'm making a video game, well, it turns out I've actually wanted to make a video game for a very long time. I actually went to college and got an associate's degree for computer programming, simulations, and design a long time ago. And I never did anything with it because that was back when you still had to code actual code, because I'm a lot older than I look. That was a long time ago. So, but now with Unreal Engine and stuff, you can do what's called blueprints. It's more about the logic than it is about writing the stupid syntaxes and curly brackets versus colons and slashes and all that stuff. So it's actually really fun. I've always wanted to make games. I'm making this game because I think it's going to be fun, but it's a good like starter game on a low budget to make something that's fun for people to play. But I would eventually like to move up to, you know, some bigger games. I've had games I've wanted to make my whole life that I don't know if I'll ever have enough budget to make those kind of games. But we'll see how things go with this first one. And also, it turns out that I'm actually insanely fast at making games. So I can actually make a pretty good product by... right now, I have the release date set to March. But I'll probably change that to April. I doubt I'll be able to get it done, just specifically because Hogwarts Legacy is coming out in like 2 days, and I'm going to have to actually work on that on my YouTube, make videos for it and stuff like that, so that's going to, you know, delay the amount of work I can do. But I'm going to be making like a Kickstarter for it and stuff soon, so I can hopefully pay, there's one person who helps me a lot, I'm going to pay him after the game launches, and there's another person I can actually just pay to help whenever he's available. And so I'm going to do a Kickstarter, try to raise some money so that I can pay them more so they can have more time to work on the game, get it done faster and stuff. But the biggest thing is on me. That's also why, like, 20 days straight I haven't posted any videos other than the one Forspoken video. And that's because I was working, like, 8 to 12 hours a day just writing blueprints and code and things and importing assets and making decisions and things for this game. And you'll see more about the game in later today, maybe. I'm going to maybe make one more video, I'm not sure, like this, and then I'm just going to have like the announcement trailer, and it's going to be a pre-alpha announcement trailer. The game is, I would call it alpha. Maybe I'll say alpha trailer maybe, because that's about where it's at. I got it where it's like, okay, it's playable. We got the game loop. We've got assets and things. A lot of things are still like placeholders. There's like 6 NPCs that can spawn. I'm eventually going to, you know, pump that up to like 100 different unique NPCs or more things. There's lots of like details. There's lots that has yet to be added into the game. But you'll be able to see that when I post that, hopefully today. Other than that, yeah, just rebranding. I might be doing a little bit more React content at some point, especially once Hogwarts Legacy dies down. Or just things where like I dissect different videos about upcoming games and things to talk to you guys about what may or may not be or what it may or may not mean. I mean, I may do things like that, but don't hold me to it. Other than that, it might be more of the same where generally this YouTube is just me playing whatever the biggest, newest game is and making helpful videos and things and fun videos for you guys to find things in the game for yourself and stuff. I'll probably just keep on doing that. It's just going to be that, but now I'm also trying to make and sell video games, hopefully, in the coming months and years, I guess. I mean, it turned out I actually really like it. Like, I honestly liked it more than my YouTube job. I was working 8 to 12 hours a day at it the last like 3 weeks because it was actually fun. Like, I actually have fun writing code if I don't have to actually write the syntax. If I just do the blueprints and things, put little nodes together, it's unbelievably fun for me. I'm also trying to think about how to manage dev updates for the game I make and games I make in the future. I'm not sure if I'll do it on this channel or a separate channel. I may make small videos here and there about Unreal Engine and stuff, and what I made in the game, things like that. I'm not sure. That's like to be determined, I guess. But let me know what you think about that, if you have any thoughts on that, if you think that'd be interesting or not. But that's the biggest news, is just rebranding, making a game. And you'll probably see it when I launch this video. I'll also change the name of this YouTube to Kibbles Gaming at the same time. And then the last thing I was going to leave you with on this was, you guys would not believe the amount of time I just lost to a camera. I spent the last 3 days trying to get my camera to work, and I had to use this crappy HD webcam I have instead of my normal camera because I got a new computer. I took the C drive, I duplicated it for the new computer, so I had the exact same drive with the exact same programs and things that I use. And then I took my old one and was like, all right, the old one, which I've been using forever, I've used with the camera countless times, and I was like, all right, I set this aside, and this is going to be my dedicated IRL video computer. And I hadn't messed with it in like 2 weeks. And I got done working on the game. I got it on Steam. I got the store page ready to publish, which I'll be doing later today. And then I was like, okay, now it's time for me to make this video that you guys are watching right now. And I sat down and did it, and it was like no signal detected for the camera. I was like, okay. And so then I tried different things, tried whatever. I busted out my computer from 13 years ago. And after, like, I lost a whole day to trying things. Nothing worked. Next day, I busted out my old 13-year-old computer, the Z600 workstation. And I plugged into that, and it works. And so that's when I realized, oh my god, it's a Windows 10 issue. There must have been a Windows update that made my camera incompatible, or more specifically, made the capture card I used to use incompatible, an AverMedia C127, some super old capture card. Some kind of Windows update must interfere with the drivers, and then it just doesn't work now. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll just use my 13-year-old computer. So the next day I woke up, I was going to use my 13-year-old computer, and I got it all set up and stuff, and then I realized my microphone was popping. And it turns there's a thing with my microphone that for some reason it draws way too much power, probably because it's old and dying. So I had to put it into a USB extension, whatever it's called. I don't remember what they're called. It basically is this PCIe card you pop into the computer, into one of the PCI slots, and it gives you 4 more USB slots. And if I plug it through that, then it doesn't pop the audio anymore. So I was like, okay, just got to put that in. And that's where I made a terrible mistake. So I turned the PC off, and after I turned it off, I went to put the card in. I did not pull the cable out of the back of the computer, and it didn't have a switch on that super old one either. So, I don't know. I never knew that you really actually need to pull the cable out, or flip the switch, which physically disconnects the cable, because there's apparently residual power that hangs out in like capacitors and random components in the computer. And so when I went to put this thing in, and it was the craziest thing, I'm like sitting there trying to fiddle with it, trying to get it in, because it's a really awkward case the way it would need to go in. And it wouldn't go in right, and I accidentally tapped it into the motherboard itself. And somehow, when I tapped it in the motherboard, it like shorted out the motherboard and like shot electricity through the whole system or something somehow. Turned the computer on by just touching random transistors on the motherboard and random, like, I forget what the traces, just turned it on. And I was like, oh god, and I turned it off. And then I went to do it again and turned it on again. And I was like, oh my god, and I turned it off. And then I was like, okay. And then I called my brother, and he's like, you gotta pull the cable out. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that, because I do video games, but I'm not actually a super tech guy. So then I pulled the cable out. But then at that point, I got the card in. I turned it back on. And now it was blinking a red light 5 times in this code. And my brother looked it up, and it was like, okay, memory error. So we tried resetting the BIOS. There's a little yellow switch, or a little yellow button inside of the case. And you hold the button, and then it resets the BIOS. And we're like, oh, let's try that. So we did that. And then I turned it on. And then it just is red, and it beeps 1 time. And then after that, it turns on, and it's like, oh, CPU 1 dim doesn't work, CPU 2 dim doesn't work, disabling, whatever. And it was like, oh, okay. But then it would go forward. And then after that, it was like, oh, failed to launch Windows, can't start Windows, tried 100 times, can't launch Windows. Tried startup repair, fail, can't find the startup repair. And that was my only copy of Windows 7 on a hard disk drive or at all that I could pop into that. So there went that option, and I lost like half a day and more at that point. So then I was like, okay, well, let's try something. I tried popping my capture card into my new PC, but when I did that, when I put my new capture card, my old capture card, into my new PC, then if I turn it on, it would. By the way, I have like the AMD Ryzen, whatever the new one is, that has like 32 cores, including hyper-threading or whatever. It would cycle my CPU from 20% processing to 100% processing in cycles when that card was plugged into my new PC, because of some insane driver incompatibility issue with the newest Windows 10 updates in the last month or whatever. So, and or because I had another capture card in it and they were competing for the PCIe CPU lanes or something. I don't know. So then I tried pulling out the card and installing the driver and then putting the card in, and then the computer just wouldn't boot. It would just sit on the like BIOS loading screen forever and never go anywhere. So then I lost like another hour or two messing with all that. Then at that point I had to call, and it was like the next day, which is today. And so then today I was like, okay, I will get a Windows 8 ISO. I will put it on a flash drive. I would do Windows 7, but Windows 7 actually cannot boot from a flash drive, it turns out. So you have to get a CD. Well, I didn't have a CD ready. I don't even know if I have a CD burner. I have CD drives in two of these computers. I don't know if they can burn CDs or not. Maybe they could. But either way, you need to burn a Windows 7 CD to install Windows 7, or even to use Windows 7 startup repair. So that wasn't an option. So I was like, all right, let's do Windows 8. All right. So I get Windows 8 on a flash drive, and I go to install it on one of my old hard drives to pop into that Z600 workstation. And at that point, I was like, all right, I got Windows 8. I load it up. Has no drivers. It can't connect to the internet. It can't install anything. It can't figure anything out. And I was like, oh my God. And so then I was like, okay, do I just go ahead and take the time of trying to find out what my network adapter is on this motherboard, getting the driver, installing it. I was like, I bet it won't even work. It probably won't even work. So I was like, you know what? Let's try a different option. So I was like, okay, let's try to get Windows 10. Try Windows 10 install. And we'll do it, and we'll immediately disable updates so it doesn't get to the latest update. So it was Windows 10. The only one you can get is like 2022 version, or maybe there's some other way to get some other one, but I didn't look hard. Maybe there's probably some like random one-off website that has like the original Windows 10 with all the vulnerabilities and stuff. But okay, I got Windows 10 2022 version. I was like, maybe this will work. So I take the Windows 10 2022 version, I install that, I immediately disable all the updates, go to the registry, do all this crazy stuff, make sure it doesn't update, install the drivers, restart, all that. It can't detect the signal. So just Windows 10, it's out the window. Windows 10 just can't do it. And then I was like, well, maybe it's just my old PC. So then I got a hard drive and I installed Windows 10 to it. And then I put it in my Z600 workstation 13-year-old computer. And now it can't detect it. So it was, in fact, only because it was Windows 7 that it could detect the camera signal through my AverMedia C127 capture card. So, and all that took forever because I had to install it and there were issues and I had multiple times and messed with things. It took like 2 or 3 hours or something. It was insane. And at that point, I was like, okay. Then I had the thought of like, well, maybe my graphics card is I swapped out the graphics cards. I took my good graphics card, put it in my new computer, took an old one from my brother had, put it in the old. I was at that point, I was like, I'm done. I'm just going to grab my old HD webcam. And it's not even that big of a deal. I should have just done this day one. I should have just been like, screw it. We'll just use the crappy webcam. It's fine. But I was stuck in that eternal cycle of like, this next step. This is going to be the one, guys. This next step. It's like, all right, it didn't work, but this next thing for sure is going to be it. We'll do it. It'll be fine. It'll work. I just kept on doing that until I lost 3 days. So now I got to sit here and bust my ass trying to get this video out. Getting my my announcement trailer out for the simulator game I'm making, and I really wanted to make another video talking about game development and what I'm doing and stuff before that. I don't know if I will or not. I won't if I'll have time. And Dark and Darker, the playtest comes out tomorrow, and I really wanted to get a bunch of videos out before that comes out and get them all ready. And now I lost 3 days, and I wanted to make like 10 plus videos about Dark and Darker. So, I don't know. I'm going to be working until like 3 in the morning tonight trying to get things done and working all day tomorrow during the playtest when instead I was just going to stream it and have fun, which is not going to be an option now. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is the last 3 days have sucked giant, you know what. So, it's been rough. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys about that to anyone who wanted to hear that ridiculous crap. I learned so much about computers. I learned apparently older BIOSes or older motherboards and BIOSes use MRP file system or something, and newer computers use GPT, which I wonder if that's where Chat GPT got its name from. I don't know. But anyway, they use GPT, and so it was like things where it's like I installed Windows 10 on the hard drive, but I installed it GPT, and my old 13-year motherboard doesn't know what GPT is. It doesn't have UEFI system. I know somebody, so there's probably someone watching, and they're like, oh, I know, he doesn't know what, I can't believe he's got to know what he's talking about. I have no idea what any of that crap is. Like, okay. But I learned, and it was crazy. So old ones use MRP apparently, and new ones use GPT. If you have an insanely old computer, gotta install it in MRP or whatever MRP drive. You know, you gotta format it, and then you can do apparently in a Windows install. You can hit, I think it was Shift F10 to pop up command prompt during a Windows installation. And then you can type in disk part, and then select the disk, and then clean it, and then format it, and you can format it GPT or MRP or whatever. You gotta clean a volume, and it was partition. It was crazy. It's been a crazy 3 days, guys. Well, anyway, I'm gonna get back to making content now that I'm on a hiatus from my video game making for like a month. And like I said, I'll hopefully make a video about the Kickstarter. Then you guys can go to the Kickstarter if you want to. And my idea is, I have two things I planned for the Kickstarter, and I'll go more about this in a separate video maybe, is if you support the Kickstarter, you can get the game for half off. It'll be like, ideally it's going to be a $20 game, and you pay $10 in the Kickstarter. I'll give you a copy, so you half price if you want to support it ahead of time, if it looks like a game you'd even want to play. And then the other thing is, I might do this, I'm not sure yet, is have an option for like some stupid option in case one of you guys is just loaded rich and thinks it'll be fun. Like $500 option or something, or $1,000 or something, where it's like if you put that much on a Kickstarter, I'll literally put you in the game as a character. If something happens, like you'll come into the store and like try to rob me or something, or like some random event, and I'll literally have it be your name. Like I don't know if I'll do that or not. Okay, but these are things I'm thinking about. But anyway, guys, hope you guys are doing well. Rebranded the channel, making a game. I'm gonna go get to work now because I'm way behind on videos. I gotta go crunch like crazy to get as many things done as possible before like 2 in the morning tonight. But yeah, that's it, guys. Kibble Gaming now, making a game, got it all set up and moving forward, doing Hogwarts Legacy next, and Dark and Darker, and then back to grinding the game. So I will keep you guys updated, and that is all for now.